Hi and welcome to How to Practice Violin Part 1. How to Practice Violin Part 1. This is a humongous topic to cover. So I'm going to go through what I think is the most important things to think about when practicing and how to make practicing fun and enjoyable and creative. Often we're left with a book and a bunch of scales and they're all fairly written boringly for us to repeat at an exam or a lesson the next week. What I'm going to demonstrate here is taking the simple scale of, say, D major scale for the sake of this video, and adding to that scale, which we probably already know if you've been playing for a few years, or if you don't already know, it'd be a good thing if you stop the video now and learn how to play D major scale, because I won't explain that in this video. Taking the simple thing that we already know, which is a scale, and adding a sense of groove, a sense of dynamics, a sense of articulation, heaps of different parameters of music to that scale. But I'm not necessarily going to set what that is. I want to start getting you all thinking about how to improvise that in your own practice sessions. So this video is more a demonstration of what's possible. Hopefully that will inspire you to then take your sort of boring scale that you used to probably playing in a very predictable way and start adding elements to it that make it more interesting for yourself. It'll hopefully make it more interesting, therefore, when you go to play music the next time around, and particularly if you go to improvise, you'll rely on that specifically to be able to make your solo sound way more interesting. Anyway, so I'm going to play a few things. I'll just quickly demonstrate them as I go along. But it's what we're used to playing, aren't we, when we read the notes, or separated, or if we slur it as it's written often. But after a while that can get boring, and that's only really a fraction of what's possible. The first thing you could do is take what you already know, take that scale as you already know it, and add a dynamic, and then think about how many bows you're going to use. So for instance, if you're going to use it in one bow, and if you're going to imagine a dynamic from double P, and you get loud towards the middle of the scale and then soft at the end, so it'll be something like this. Or starting from the top. If you can add hairpins to your music so that you start soft, end soft, and loud in the middle, that's an instant way of working on your bow technique, the required weight and speed that's required to create that sound. And it makes it just more musically interesting if you can do that. You can of course add articulation to that, so you might do more separated or bouncing off the string, or you might do them all down the lower half, or at the tip. Or you might do what which is fun, is add another open string to the same fingering pattern. So what I mean by that is, if you're playing like that, you just add open A, and then when you get to the A string, add open D, so you get this. And there's heaps of possibilities there. So many, you could just infinitely practice just that, what I've just demonstrated, for hours and hours and hours. And crossing the strings like that. Or off the string. And adding a dynamic to it. So starting off really soft. And then adding a sense of groove to it, where you're taking straight semiquavers and grouping them into threes or fours or twos, whatever you feel like doing. It's where the improvisational element comes into play with your practice. If you can start doing that with all your practice, when you go to improvise, it will suddenly sound like, wow, you've got all these colours and textures and ideas to suddenly call upon because you've actually spent the time to practice that. Because I don't think improvisation quite a lot of the time just comes from nowhere. It's something that musicians have spent time practicing particularly. So that's just the D major scale. I mean, that's all, probably only half of the possible bowing techniques you could use. I'm doing this chop thing, which I've often demonstrated, and plenty of bluegrass players on the net can also demonstrate that more specifically. But lower half stuff is where that comes in to play a lot. So to get, if you haven't done that before, practice bouncing off the strings, like so, right at the lower half. And then add an accent like a backbeat sort of. So every third semiquaver, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to double that, of course. Off beats. And then you can start, I guess, embellishing the scale, where you start to add notes, but you stick to that same structure. Etc. So you can take the humble D major scale as this almost framework or groundwork, from which then you can sort of weave and improvise all over the top and go off on a tangent here and back there, but so long as you hit those notes where they normally would be hit. And this is where I think a lot of the institutions, a lot of the teachers that we learn from, tend to frown upon improvisation as a thing that's not at all a good thing to do. In actual fact, the opposite could be said, because it makes you more of a musician, more of a musical musician, and you can, if you can do that with just a general D major scale, man, imagine what you could do over a whole chord progression with lots of different scales and lots of different rhythms. So that's a little lesson to get you all inspired, hopefully, to start practicing creatively. And if you've got any questions, please forward through some comments or some emails. And if you wanted some specific demonstration on any of those techniques, feel free to contact me. Alright, have fun out there in the land of violin playing. I'll see you all soon.